The ship moved quietly through space, dark and cold like the endless sky around it. Inside, in the lower cargo hold, a small metal cage held something not from Earth. Her name was Lee Ray. She was young, maybe no older than a human teenager. Her skin was soft blue, and her big purple eyes glowed slightly in the dark. Her silver hair fell over her face, dirty and tangled. She sat in the corner of the cage, knees pulled close to her chest, shivering even though it wasn't cold. She had been caught, taken from her home by soldiers wearing human armor. She didn't remember the fight, only the sound of screaming and the smell of smoke. Her people had warned her about humans. They eat our kind, they said. They laugh while we burn. So, now, as she sat inside the cage, she waited for the moment. The moment when a human would open the door and take her away to cook her, to chew her bones, to laugh while she cried. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Lee Ray's body stiffened. Her eyes locked on the entrance. Her hands trembled. A tall human walked in. He wore a plain uniform, no weapons in sight. His face didn't look angry, but she didn't trust that humans could smile while killing. He stopped in front of her cage. He looked down and said nothing. Just watched her for a few seconds. Then, he bent down and placed something inside the cage through a small slot. It was a tray of food, warm and fresh. Lee Ray's nose picked up the scent, something cooked. Maybe protein, something sweet, maybe fruit and water. Clear and clean in a metal cup. She didn't move. Her eyes stayed on him, full of fear. The human didn't force her to eat. Didn't yell or try to grab her. He simply said, "Eat, if you're hungry." Then he turned and walked away. She blinked, confused. What kind of trick was this? Maybe he was trying to make her fat before eating her. Maybe it was poison. Or maybe it was just part of their strange games. She didn't touch the food. Hours passed. Her stomach growled again and again. Her throat burned with thirst. But she didn't move. She refused. The next day, the human came again. Same thing. New food, clean water, soft voice. He said, "You need to eat, little one." Then he left again. This time she crawled toward the tray slowly, sniffed the food, poked it with her finger. She didn't feel sick from the smell, didn't sense any poison. Still, she didn't eat. 3 more days passed. Every day he came. Every day he gave food and water. And every day he left without saying much. On the 4th day, something in her broke. Lee Ray grabbed the bars and shouted, "Why are you doing this?" The human stopped at the door, surprised. He turned and walked back to the cage slowly. "You haven't eaten?" he said. "Why not?" She yelled louder, "Because you'll eat me after." That's what humans do. He looked confused, then sat down on the floor, eye level with her cage. "I don't eat people," he said softly. "That's not who I am." Lee Ray stared at him. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands still shook. "Then why am I in a cage?" He looked down, ashamed. "I don't agree with what they're doing," he said. "You were brought here by others. I was just told to guard the room." She narrowed her eyes. "So you're still part of them?" "Maybe," he whispered. "But I'm not like them." He stood up and walked out again, leaving her in silence. That night, she ate, slowly, carefully. She chewed every bite, waiting to feel pain. Waiting for the trick, but no pain came. No poison, no death, only warmth in her belly and water in her throat. She looked up at the ceiling of the ship and whispered to herself, "He didn't eat me," but deep inside, she still wondered. Not yet. Maybe not yet. Lee Ray sat in the middle of the cage, arms wrapped around her legs. Her stomach was no longer empty. Her body didn't hurt like before, but her mind was full of questions. Why was this human feeding her? Why hadn't he hurt her yet? Why didn't he even raise his voice? Humans were supposed to be monsters, but this one was quiet, careful, almost gentle. The door opened again. She looked up sharply, heart racing. It was the same human. He stepped into the room, carrying another tray of food. He knelt in front of the cage and slid the tray inside. "You didn't eat much yesterday," he said, "so I brought something different." She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on his face, trying to read what he truly wanted. He didn't stare at her like a hunter or a scientist. He didn't look at her like she was a thing. Instead, he looked tired, as if he was the prisoner. "I'm Daniel," he said suddenly, tapping his chest. "My name, Daniel." Lee blinked, her lips parted, but no words came out. Then she whispered, "Lee." "Ray," Daniel smiled. "Lee Ray," he repeated slowly, gently, like it was something precious. A strange feeling stirred in her chest. No one had said her name like that in a long time. Not even before she was captured. He didn't stay long. Just smiled and said, "You're safe here. I promise." Before walking out again, safe, she repeated the word in her mind like a puzzle. Safe didn't exist where humans ruled. Safe was a lie made to make you stop fighting. But the food was clean, the water was fresh, and her name, he remembered her name. Each day, Daniel returned, always with food, sometimes with a folded blanket or soft cloth to wipe her face. He never forced her to talk, but when she did, he listened. Really listened. On the 5th day, he brought something strange and old. Scratched tablet screen. He tapped it, and it lit up, showing simple images. Animals, trees, stars, humans, aliens, all labeled in human words. He pointed to the word tree, then to a picture, then to the real thing. "Tree," he said slowly. Lee Ray stared at him, confused. He smiled, tapped again, pointed to her, and said, "Friend." She frowned. "No friend." She said, "Prisoner." Daniel shook his head, tapped again, and showed the word. "Safe." She looked away. Her heart wanted to believe him, but her mind said no. Later that night, she didn't eat again. Not because she was scared this time, but because she wanted to test him. What would he do if she refused again? Yell, punish her, mock her. But Daniel came in, looked at the untouched tray, and didn't react. He only said, "Maybe tomorrow." Then gently picked up the tray and walked away. She sat in silence for a long time, staring at the spot where he had been sitting. Why was he like this? She had seen humans burn her village, drag her people through dirt, laugh while taking children. Why didn't this one do the same? That night, sleep didn't come easily. She thought of his face, his voice, the word friend, and the way he had said her name the next morning. She ate everything on the tray before he even arrived. When he came in, Daniel smiled. "Good." He said, "You look stronger today." She wiped her mouth and stood slowly, her thin arms shaking a little. She walked to the bars and whispered, "Why?" He looked at her, confused. "Why? What? Why are you kind?" she asked, voice sharp and afraid. "Why are you not like the others?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He sat down again on the floor, just like before. "Because I've seen what humans have done," he said softly. "And I hate it." She blinked. "But you are human." "I know," he whispered. "That's why I have to be better." His words were strange, but they didn't sound like lies. They sounded tired. Like something he had carried a long time. She pressed her hands against the cold bars, eyes locked on his. "If you're lying, I'll know." She said, "I'm not." He replied, voice calm, "You'll see." And as he stood up and walked away, something new flickered inside her, a tiny, flickering light that felt a little like hope. The days passed slowly inside the metal walls of the ship. Lee Ray no longer curled up in the corner. Instead, she sat closer to the bars, watching every move Daniel made. She still didn't fully trust him, but he hadn't hurt her, hadn't yelled, hadn't tried to open the cage. Every day he brought food. Every day he brought words. "Water," he would say, holding the cup. Then he would point to her, Lee Ray. Then he'd tap his chest. Daniel. She nodded, repeating his name. Daniel. He smiled when she said it. Like it meant something more than just sound. Sometimes. He would bring the screen again and tap through pictures. He showed her the stars. The planets humans had visited, animals she had never seen before. One time, he played a sound music. Soft, slow, beautiful. Lee Ray leaned forward, her ears twitching slightly. Her people didn't make music like this. What is that? She asked. Daniel smiled. A song. It helps me feel calm. She looked down. It sounds like the wind. In the trees, he tilted his head. Your world has trees. She nodded slowly. Silver leaves, tall like towers. The wind made them sing. But they are gone now. Daniel's smile faded. I'm sorry, she didn't answer. She just listened again. For the first time since she was captured, the silence didn't feel like a cage. She began to ask questions, slowly, carefully. Why? Do humans take people? Daniel looked down. Some say it's for science. Some say it's to win wars. Some just follow orders. She stared at him. And you? I don't believe in hurting those who can't fight back, he said. That's not strength. That's cruelty. She sat back, watching him closely. You are strange for a human. She whispered. He chuckled. I hear that a lot, each day they spoke more. He told her about Earth, about the cities that reached the clouds, about the blue oceans and white snow. She told him about her people, how they sang to the sky at night, how their homes were built inside crystal caves, how they never used weapons until the humans came. Her voice would shake sometimes, her hands would clench. Daniel always listened, never interrupting, never judging. One day, she pointed to his hand. Through the bars. Why don't you open the cage? He looked surprised. Would you run? She didn't answer. He waited, then said, I want you to feel free, even if you're inside. If I open the cage now, you might still feel like a prisoner. She stared at him. You care what I feel? He nodded slowly. Yes, I do. That night, she didn't sleep. She kept thinking about his words, about the way his eyes softened when she talked, about how he never treated her like less. No human had ever done that. Maybe he was lying. Maybe. This was all a trick, but something in her heart whispered. Maybe it's not. The next morning, she stood when he entered. She walked to the bars and held out her hand. Daniel blinked in surprise, then stepped closer and reached out their hands. Touched, her skin was cool, his was warm. For a second, neither moved. Then she whispered. This is what my people call first trust. Daniel smiled gently. Then, I'm honored. She pulled her hand back slowly, still watching his face. If you break it, she said, there is no second. I won't, he promised. From that day on, their lessons became real conversations. Daniel taught her human words. She corrected his clumsy alien phrases. They laughed, stumbled, and sometimes sat in silence. But it was a peaceful silence, not empty. One day, Lee Ray told him the meaning of her name. It means stars whisper, she said. Because I was born under a falling star. Daniel smiled. That fits you? She tilted her head. Why? You're quiet, but your voice stays in my mind, he said. Like something from the stars, she looked away quickly, her cheeks glowing faintly purple. No one had ever said something like that to her before. She didn't know what it meant. But she didn't hate the feeling. Later that night, Daniel stayed longer. Sitting just outside the cage, he looked tired, but not because of work. Something deeper, heavier. Lee Ray, he said softly, soon. We may not have much time. Her heart skipped. What do you mean? They're transferring all alien prisoners in a few days, he said, to another base for processing. She didn't need to ask what that meant. She had heard that word before. Her legs felt weak. Her breath shallow. Daniel looked at her, eyes filled with guilt. I don't want them to take you. She backed into the corner of the cage. You said I was safe. You were, he said quickly. But now we have to do something else. She looked up, trembling. Escape. He nodded. Yes, but only if you trust me. The cage bars suddenly felt even colder than before. And yet, somewhere inside her, she wanted to believe him again. But the question stayed in her mind. Would this be the moment he breaks first trust? Ray sat in the corner of the cage, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Her eyes didn't blink. Her mind raced faster than her breath. Escape? That word sounded like a dream. A dangerous, impossible dream. Daniel stood across the room, pacing slowly, hands clenched. He had just told her the news the transport ship would arrive in 2 days, and with it, her final journey to the processing center. She had heard stories about those places, rooms full of cold metal, strange machines, sharp tools, and no return. Do you trust me? Daniel asked again, his voice soft but shaking. Ray looked at him. Her lips trembled. You are the only human who ever showed me kindness, she whispered. But even now, I don't know if that kindness is real. Daniel lowered his head. You don't have to believe my words, just believe my actions. She stood up slowly, walking to the bars. If you betray me, I won't scream, she said. I'll just close my eyes. Daniel stepped forward and pulled a small key from his uniform pocket. He held it in his palm, not moving. If I open this cage, you have a choice. You can run alone, or trust me to help you, all the way. The silence between them was heavy. Then she reached her hand through the bars and touched the key. Her fingers closed around it, and she whispered, Show me. He unlocked the cage. The door creaked as it swung open. Ray stepped out slowly, her legs shaky from days of being caged. Her skin brushed against the cold air, and for the first time, there was nothing between her and Daniel. No bars, no lies. He handed her a black cloth. Cover your hair and eyes. Blend in with shadows. Follow close. She wrapped the cloth around her head, her silver hair now hidden, her glowing purple eyes dimmed beneath the folds. Daniel led her through a small side door, away from the main hallways. The ship was quiet. Only the low hum of machines and the echo of their soft steps filled the air. At every corner, Daniel stopped and listened. He knew the guards' patrol routes by heart. They reached a storage bay filled with cargo crates. This is where the emergency pods are kept, he whispered. If we launch one, it'll trigger alarms. So we have to time it exactly. Ray nodded, her heart pounding so hard she thought it would shake the floor. Daniel led her to a crate and opened it slowly. Inside were tools, supplies, and a small pod door hidden beneath metal plates. I've been building this plan since the day I saw you, he said. I didn't know if I'd use it. But now I do. She looked at him with wide eyes. Why go this far for me? He smiled weakly. Because no one else will. Suddenly, heavy boots echoed in the hallway. Voices shouted, Room check. All guards, report. Daniel grabbed her hand. Inside. Now? They crawled into the crate and pulled the lid shut from inside. Ray's breathing was fast and shallow. Her fingers clung to Daniel's arm. Above them, voices passed by. A flashlight beam slipped through a crack in the crate, but didn't stop. They waited, silent, still, frozen in fear. When the voices faded, Daniel slowly opened the secret door to the pod. Get in, he said. I'll follow right behind. Ray climbed in, the space tight and dark. Her knees pressed to her chest. Daniel slid in beside her. Tapping the control panel, the screen lit up, showing coordinates and a blinking red button. This will shoot us to a small moon nearby. He said, it's abandoned but safe. We'll need to hide until the danger passes, will we? Survive the landing? She asked, I don't know, he admitted, but staying here means death, for sure. She looked at him. Then, I choose the unknown. He pressed the button. The pod shook violently, metal groaning as it launched from the ship's underbelly, red. Lights blinked as the pod rocketed away. Inside, Lee Ray closed her eyes. Her hand reached out and found Daniel's. He squeezed gently. We're almost free. Alarms blared behind them on the ship. Unauthorized pod launch. Lock down the sector. But it was too late. They were already gone, flying through the black sky toward an uncertain world. Lee Ray opened her eyes and looked through the tiny window. Stars passed by, bright and endless. For the first time in her life, she felt something close to freedom. Not full, not yet, but close. She looked at Daniel. His face lit by the screen's soft glow. You risked everything, she whispered. He nodded. I'd do it again. The pod began to shake harder. Entering a planet's gravity, the ground below came fast. Mountains and rocks stretching across the surface. She didn't scream. She just held on and hoped the ground wouldn't be the end. The escape pod slammed into the surface of the moon. It slid across rocks and dust. Sparks flying from beneath the metal shell. Inside, Lee Ray held on to the seat straps. Her eyes squeezed shut. Her ears rang from the impact. Then silence, only. The sound of her shaky breath filled the small cabin. Daniel groaned beside her, holding his ribs. Are you okay? Lee Ray nodded slowly. I think so. He pressed the emergency release. The pod door hissed open, letting in the cold, dry air of the silent planet. They stepped out slowly. Their boots crunched on gray dust and sharp stones. The sky was purple. And wide, 2 moons floated above a rocky horizon. No trees, no water. No sound, just silence and windless air. This place is dead, Lee Ray whispered. Good, Daniel said. That means no one's here to find us. They moved away from the pod, searching for shelter after a short walk. They found a shallow cave built into the side of a cliff. Daniel crawled inside first, checking for danger. It's empty. But it'll keep us safe for now, they settled. Inside, using metal scraps from the pod to build a small cover at the entrance. Lee Ray sat on the ground, exhausted. Her body ached. And her mind spun in circles. Daniel gave her a ration pack. Eat, you need strength. She opened the pack and chewed slowly, watching him work. He tore wires from the pod and connected them to a beacon device. We need to send a signal, he said. But not to Earth, someone else. She tilted her head. Someone else. Anyone who doesn't want you dead, he replied, will call for help. But we have to hide the signal. Lee Ray stared at him. You really thought of everything? He gave a tired smile. Not everything, but enough to get us here. They stayed in the cave for 2 days. The air was dry, but breathable. The heat from the pod kept them warm. Each day, Daniel fixed more wires, while Lee Ray explored nearby rocks. She found strange crystals growing in patterns, glowing faintly in the dark. She brought one back. Look, she said. They're alive. Daniel held the crystal, the light dancing in his eyes. Beautiful. They shared stories by the light. Of those glowing stones, Lee Ray told him about her sister, who used to braid her hair with silver threads. Daniel told her about his younger brother, who always wanted to fly ships but never got the chance. They both smiled at the memories, even though the pain was still there. Sometimes they sat in silence, just watching the stars above. One night, Lee Ray turned to Daniel. You gave me food, a name, and freedom, she said. Why? He looked at her, serious, because no one else would, and because I think you were meant to live. She looked away, her voice soft. I didn't think I deserved to. You do, he said. More than most. On the 3rd day, Daniel got the beacon to blink. A soft, pulsing light lit up the cave wall. Now we wait, he said. Someone might hear us, or no one will. Li Rei touched the device. Do you think my people could still be out there? I think so, he said. I think someone's looking for you. She nodded. I want to believe that. That night, a storm rolled over the moon. Not rain, but shards of light and electric winds. They hid deeper in the cave, holding blankets over their heads. Li Rei pressed close to Daniel, trembling from the strange energy in the air. He put an arm around her shoulder, not as a soldier, but as a shield. You're safe, he whispered. I won't let anything take you now, after the storm. Past, they stepped outside and looked at the sky. A shooting star passed above them. Trailing blue fire, Li Rei pointed, her eyes wide. That means something, she said. In my culture, when a star falls, it means a wish is heard. Daniel smiled. What did you wish for? She looked at him, eyes glowing softly, to not be alone anymore. He looked at her quietly, then whispered, Me too. The next morning, the beacon flashed faster. A ship had responded, but it wasn't human. It sent back alien symbols familiar. Once Li Rei gasped, That's my language. She pressed her fingers to the screen, tears forming in her eyes. They're coming, she whispered. My people. They're coming. Daniel stood behind her, silent in his heart. He knew what it meant. Soon, she would leave, and he would stay behind, but he didn't say it. Not yet. For now, he let her feel hope, the same hope he had carried for her since the day he opened her cage. The sky above the moon changed. Li Rei stood outside the cave, eyes wide as a silver ship broke through the purple clouds. It moved slowly, quietly, like it didn't want to scare her. Daniel stood beside her, his face calm, but his heart heavy. The ship had come, just like she hoped, but he wasn't sure what came next. Would they welcome her? Would they punish him? The ship landed on the rocky field below, wind blowing dust in all directions. Li Rei stepped forward, her legs shaking. The door of the ship opened with a soft hiss. 3 figures walked out tall, elegant beings with soft blue skin like hers. Their cloaks shimmered with the mark of her people. Li Rei gasped. That's the mark of the Sky Guard. It's them. Daniel stayed back, silent, watching. One of the aliens ran forward and dropped to her knees in front of Li Rei. Princess, the woman whispered, her voice breaking. We thought you were dead. Li Rei's eyes filled with tears. I thought I was too. The woman touched her face gently, then looked past her to Daniel. Her kind expression vanished. Her voice turned sharp. Who is he? Li Rei turned around quickly. He saved me. More guards came out from the ship, their weapons raised at Daniel. Step away from the princess, one of them ordered. Daniel lifted his hand slowly. I mean no harm. Li Rei stepped in front of him. No, she said firmly. He's not the enemy. The lead guard narrowed her eyes. He is human. He is not like them, Li Rei said, her voice steady. He gave me food, safety, a name, and freedom. The guards didn't lower their weapons. Li Rei turned to the woman who had first knelt. You are Counselor Valren, are you not? Yes, princess, the woman replied. I am here to return you to your people. Then listen to me as your princess, Li Rei said. He comes with us. Gasps rippled through the group. One of the guards stepped forward. But he is of the species that destroyed our worlds. He is of the kind that risked his life to save mine, she replied. And if we reject that kindness, then what are we? Valren looked at Daniel carefully. Why did you help her? Daniel stepped forward slowly, because she was a prisoner, afraid, alone. I couldn't leave her like that. You expect us to believe you acted out of kindness? No, he said. I expect you to believe her. Valren looked back at Li Rei. Do you trust him? With my life, Li Rei said without hesitation. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. Daniel let out a quiet breath. Valren nodded. Very well, he may board. They walked toward the ship together. Lee by Daniel's side. Inside, the walls glowed soft blue, warm and welcoming. Daniel had never seen anything so peaceful. Lee was led to a healing chamber. Her wounds were scanned and treated with alien light. Daniel waited outside, unsure of his place. When she came out, she looked stronger. Her hair was brushed, her clothes clean, her skin glowing softly. She smiled at him. "You waited?" "I said I would," he replied. Later, they were taken to the command hall. Dozens of her people stood around, bowing low as she entered. But when Daniel followed, the room stiffened. Lee held his hand in front of everyone. "I was once their prisoner," she said, "but this human made me feel free." The high voice of an elder spoke. "Will you make him one of us?" Lee turned to Daniel, her eyes shining. "That's not my choice alone." Daniel looked around the room, then back at her. "I didn't help you because I wanted a reward," he said. "I helped you because you were worth saving." Tears touched her eyes. "Then let me give you what no human gave me: belonging." A quiet hush fell over the hall. The elder stepped forward and handed Daniel a small symbol carved from crystal. "You wear this. You are protected under our law. You are welcome here, as long as she says so." Daniel took it carefully, his hands shaking. Lee stepped closer, whispering, "You're not alone anymore." He smiled. "Neither are you." As the ship rose from the silent moon, heading toward stars unknown, they stood side by side, not human and alien, but two survivors, two hearts that found each other where no one expected. The silver ship crossed silent space, its engines humming like distant thunder. Inside, Lee stood at a wide window and watched stars glide past like slow snow. Daniel walked up beside her, the crystal badge of her people hanging against his chest. Neither spoke for a long moment, letting the quiet wrap around them like a gentle cloak. A chime rang, and Counselor Valrin entered the observation deck, her cloak glimmering. "The High Council awaits," she said, her tone respectful but tense. Lee nodded, then looked to Daniel. Pressing a small blue hand over his, "Together," she whispered, and he squeezed back. They followed Valrin through curved corridors, lit with calm blue light. Every alien they passed bowed to Lee, but their eyes flicked toward Daniel with wary curiosity. He felt each gaze like a weight, yet he kept his head high, remembering the promise he made in the cage. The council hall was circular, lined with crystal pillars that sang faint notes when the doors opened. Elders in silver robes sat upon crescent benches, their faces wise, their eyes glowing pale violet. At the center of the floor, a holographic star map shimmered, showing worlds scarred by war and others untouched. The High Elder rose, her voice soft but strong. "Princess Lee, we rejoice at your return," she said, the hall echoing her words. "Tell us of your captivity, and of this human who stands at your side." Lee stepped forward, her shoulders straight, her voice clear. "I was taken by raiders and sold to human soldiers," she began, her words steady. "They locked me in a cage, told me humans eat our kind, and I believed I would die." She paused, letting the memory drift away like smoke. "But Daniel found me, fed me, and opened the cage instead of taking my life." Murmurs spread through the council, some doubtful, some astonished. Daniel breathed slowly, feeling dozens of eyes upon him. He remembered Lee's warning, there is no second trust, and held fast to his resolve. "He risked everything to free me," Lee continued, her voice ringing like crystal chimes. "He guided me through halls of danger, crashed with me on a dead moon, and shared his last water while alarms called for his arrest." Her hands tightened, remembering cold rocks and purple skies. "And when my people arrived, he stood ready to face judgment rather than hide." An elder with a scarred cheek leaned forward, his eyes narrow. human," he said, his tone sharp but curious. "Why did you choose mercy in a galaxy that seldom shows it?" Daniel swallowed, then spoke plainly. "Because I saw someone afraid and alone," he said, his voice firm but gentle. "Because my race has done terrible things. And I refuse to be part of that cruelty." The council fell silent, weighing his words in that hush. The star map flickered to a new image, a cluster of red lights marking battles on alien worlds. The High Elder gestured to it, her voice soft. "Our people still bleed. Our homes still burn," she said. "Your kindness is a single light in a wide darkness." Lee Ray stepped beside Daniel, lifting her chin. "Then let that light grow," she said. "Let his act be the first stone in a bridge between our worlds." Some elders nodded, others frowned, doubt warring with hope in their eyes. Valrin spoke next, her voice calm but urgent. "We cannot forget our dead," she said. "Yet we cannot forsake the future." She turned to Daniel. "Will you swear to stand with us, even if it means facing your own kind?" Daniel met her gaze without flinching. "I swear," he said, "by every star we passed. I will not turn away." The hall lights brightened, signaling a decision. The elders conferred in whispered tones, crystal pillars shimmering with each word. Finally, the High Elder raised her hand, and silence spread like gentle night. "Daniel of Earth," she declared, her voice carrying solemn authority. "By the bond of first trust and the witness of this council, you are granted the title Sky Shield, protector of Princess Lee Ray and envoy between our peoples." A ceremonial band of woven silver and blue threads was brought forward. Lee Ray took it and wrapped it around Daniel's arm. Her hand steady, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Cheers rose from some corners of the hall, cautious yet sincere. Others remained silent, but no voices spoke in protest. Hope, fragile as new crystal, settled over the gathering. Later, as the twin moons of Lee Ray's home world rose outside the ship, she and Daniel walked a quiet garden deck. Bioluminescent flowers glowed soft green, casting gentle halos on their faces. "I never dreamed I would return," she whispered. "And never dreamed I would bring a friend like you." Daniel smiled, the silver band catching moonlight. "I never dreamed I would find a family beyond my own stars," he answered. They paused at a balcony where distant cities twinkled like constellations on the ground. Wind stirred Lee Ray's silver hair, dancing through the air like starlight. She turned to him, her voice soft but clear. "Our story began in a cage," she said, "but it ends in open sky." He nodded, lifting his gaze to the endless heavens. "Or maybe," he murmured, "it begins in open sky." They stood together, a human and an alien princess, beneath twin moons and infinite stars. Two souls from worlds once divided, now bound by kindness, stronger than fear. And somewhere beyond, in the quiet dark, other stars waited for their light, ready to hear a new story of mercy, courage, and hope.